This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Today's episode is on fun travel ideas. This was recorded before COVID-19 hit because I do batch record some of these episodes, a group of them together. And this was recorded a little while ago before all air travel for pleasure and business has stopped. Presently, trips are canceled, including one of the major trips my husband and I, Greg and I, had planned up the Rhine River, flying into Amsterdam and going up through Switzerland and Germany. That's not happening. We were supposed to leave at the end of April. So we will rebook it. We'll rebook it for next year. But what I wanted to mention here in this little introduction here is that many companies now have reinvented themselves in putting online virtual travel ideas and virtual travel tours. This is our present option. And what I do know is our travel ban will end. It's not going to last forever. So take advantage of this time to do some of those virtual travel tours, explore some of the places even that we mentioned in this episode, and look through some of those sites that will now be online. And I do know that we will be free to travel again. We can't be afraid of doing that, though. We have this little new normal right now. We're afraid to even be close to somebody else in breathing without a mask or to have recirculated air. That's really a fear many have, that they're going to get ill or get sick. But we can't live our whole life in fear like that. We have to get beyond that. Very, very important. Be prudent, be wise about this, but I will guarantee that most travel companies will be bending over backwards to make us feel comfortable again to travel with them. They have a lot of work to do, to be honest, but I know they will be doing that. We have to get beyond our own fear. We will travel again. And we plan to rebook. We are going to take that Rhine River cruise. I'm really excited about it. I spent a long time planning it and doing all the little details, so we will do it again. We also have some travel planned at the end of this year, and I believe strongly that we will be able to do those trips. I think all of this travel ban will be lifted in the near future. We just have to get beyond our own fear, make sure that we are prudent and wise in moving ahead. So with that intro, let's get right to the episode I am doing with my husband, Greg. It's a good one, and I hope you enjoy. Well, hello. This is so fun to be here with you today with this fun subject because I've got Greg joining me.
Hi, guys.
It's so good to be doing this together. And we're talking about a great subject today, very fun. Fun travel ideas that can boost your enjoyment and business at halftime. And we're looking forward to some travel ahead. And
yes, we are.
Yeah, very, very fun. So, and Greg has some great ideas in here as well as I do. And we're going to start right out with maybe some fun travel ideas and where, what you can do, whether it's...
Well, I mean, you can do everything from a day trip to, trip to Europe, go down to Antarctica and shiver. It all kind of depends on your idea of fun. Mm-hmm. I think the main thing, though, is to travel, because when you travel, you get away from your environment. And your brain just automatically opens up, and in a serendipitous kind of way, you can pick up all sorts of great ideas. So the more you're feeling stuck, the more you need to travel.
Yeah, just to kind of get out of your
right.
Your own little four walls or wherever you're at. Mm-hmm. So And it's so funny. Once you start, booking a trip now and then, you are going to get a flood of requests or brochures and catalogs and whatever. They're just, cruises are very, very popular right now. But there's all sorts of tours. With Airbnb, it's all around the world. You can go and work remotely. I think that's, we've talked about that too,
Right.
going away for a couple weeks to a month, and you can work almost anywhere, location, as long as you have good internet. If you're a writer, especially, you can do that.
Yeah, and working anywhere, if you travel enough, then working for an hour or two, staying in contact isn't that draining. Mm-hmm. If you only go like once a year for a week, mm-hmm. your tendency is going to be to want to just leave it all behind. But if you go away for a week for 5 times, mm-hmm.
Then
staying a little bit connected isn't as draining, yes. And your life is more fun.
Right. There's some great quotes just from history from John Locke. And these were really interesting. When were the dates? When he was in the 1600s, wasn't he?
Yeah, 1600s, 17th century.
Yeah.
John Locke wrote an essay on human understanding, and one of the things that he tried to promote was travel. And his reasoning was that we absorb knowledge from our immediate environment. Mm-hmm. And if all you do is spend your time in one place, you can, quote unquote, use up the environment in terms of educational value. Mm. So what he thought is that in order to keep growing, you've got to change locales every now and then. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I meant by, in a serendipitous kind of way, you can still grow. I mean, you can grow while traveling. Mm-hmm. And what's fun about the growth is you never know when it's going to happen or where it's going to come from.
Right.
You can be taking a trolley car through San Francisco and, who knows what kind of ideas you come up with, or you can just be doing a walk through, a national park, and suddenly creative ideas just come your way because everything has changed. Everything's so big.
Right.
You watch nature and the fact that it's so ordered, and suddenly everything has a reason, and you find yourself asking, how come everything doesn't have a reason in my office?
Yeah.
It's just, It's remarkable what happens if you just get your brain away from your normal location.
Yeah. When we were in Alaska this last summer, I mean, just the magnitude when you see, those bodies of water, the mountains, it's a huge area, and being out in the nature like that, and you just feel it's like another little world.
Yeah, but one of the business things that hit me while we were in Alaska was all of the help there is seasonal.
Yes.
They show up in the middle of April and they leave in the middle of October, and then they go do the same thing down in South America.
Yeah.
It was weird. I mean, they were like migrating whales.
And they've been doing it for years.
And
for years. Very experienced people.
Right.
It was fascinating.
15, 20 years.
Yeah.
These people have been leading, fishing trips, or even our cab drivers, migrated. And to think that this whole economy exists of migrating part-time work is amazing to think about, because that means that if you needed part-time work in a seasonal basis, it's probably available.
Yeah, it was really amazing about that sort of reality of being in that area. And we were in a little tiny place at Seward. It was just gorgeous, and there's people there eking out a living, and it was doing really well. It was really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, one of the things we decided to do, instead of taking the Alaskan cruise and just kind of looking at the shoreline of Alaska, we ended up staying a week in kind of the southern part of Alaska, a little fishing town called Seward. And we did day trips, and you drive for an hour or two in new places, and you just get a better feel for where you're at and what it's like to live there and all of those experiences. So,
and we stayed at this little bed and breakfast where we got to know the hosts really well. They had been from that area, and you meet a lot of different people. You're just not in. Your one little location.
Added another couple to our Christmas card list.
Yes.
So that was fun.
That's fun. Yeah, we do still send those. I love that. And as we talk about, some of the benefits, as we are looking to even join, sort of tours or cruises or whatever, we start understanding some different cultures and other people. They usually come from all over the world. So that's kind of fun. We're doing a European trip coming up, and I'm really looking forward to really meeting people from all over on that.
Yeah, and one
trip.
thing I like about that trip is it's a river trip, so you're kind of in the country.
Yes.
Again, you're not looking at it from the shore, and we'll be going down the Rhine River through Germany.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that. One of the things that I like to do is, before we go to vacation, is study where we're going to go. So I am more alert to what I'm seeing and can learn more from, and also be prepared to ask tour guides questions or people that we meet.
Right.
So, in studying German, I'm fascinated how much transition that country has gone through the centuries, and just some of their history, whether it's Martin Luther writing a Bible in German that really made German a written language.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing more about that. Realizing how important the Grimm's fairy tales were to Germans.
Fascinating. Yeah.
So, looking forward to seeing the museum, Walhalla, and just the history that is saved there in monuments. And, it's going to be fascinating. And we've kind of, I don't know about you guys, but most of what I knew about Germany was we beat them in World War II. But there is so much more as to how they got to World War II and where they've been since then. And that's just one of the fun things about travel, learning the history of everything.
Yeah.
And I know we kind of did the same thing. A number of years ago, we went to New York City, and we were going to visit the Museum of History and Art.
Right.
And so we got a DVD series on the museum.
Yeah,
and,
that was fascinating.
Boy, did that enrich our experience at the museum. You just it awakened your senses to what you were looking for, what you were looking at.
And it was virtual. So what it did was it took you through every room. We were able to see and kind of plan a little bit, even though it didn't totally prepare us for being there. You just get there, but at least we had a little view beforehand, and we were with our kids, which was really fun.
But when we say kids, they were in their late 20s.
Yes,
so they were adults.
Yeah, they were adults, and but it was really a great trip to and enhance our experience, especially at the museum. It was, and I was going to bring up the point. This is really great thing about our relationship, because I tend to be, the thoughtful, the reading, the study. So when we're doing this trip, you ordered these 4-inch thick books on Germany, and you're wading through them. Not my idea of a great time, but I get the recaps. So
yeah, that's right. She gets the recaps over coffee in the morning.
Yes, so that's a good thing. So
Deb plans the trip and makes sure that it's run efficiently, and I kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah. That works really, really well. So. And we're doing another trip with our sons coming up because we have another college graduation coming up, which is fun, and doing a biking trip. And so part of our enjoyment will be keeping in shape and getting in shape to doing this, keeping up with them.
We ride anywhere between 10 and 40 miles a day.
Yeah.
So we could probably do 10 miles. But
I can do more than that.
Deb can probably do more than that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in October, so it gives us a little bit of time, and it gives you a goal to shoot for.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't know about you guys, but the older we get, the more having little goals.
Yes.
Help me get to the gym. Otherwise, I talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true about goals and exercise. Another thing about travel is that it can give you little goals in terms of producing income.
Oh, that's a great point. Great point.
If you're on salary and you get a paid vacation, it's one thing. But if you're a lawyer or any other professional, a surgeon, and you get paid by the case. If you take 4 weeks off, that's 4 weeks of cases that you're not racking up any money. And one of the little games that I used to play is we'd figure out how much the trip was going to be, and then I'd figure out roughly how much I needed to make for the time we're away, and I would work a little bit harder for 6 months leading up to that, and I would save a little bit every 2 weeks until I had, it either all paid for or most of it paid for. And that keeps you on track too.
Yes.
Having little goals, whether it's in your work or for your exercise,
right.
It keeps you productive, keeps you interested, it keeps things exciting, and it's fun to have little short-term goals. If you can reward yourself with a vacation that you're really going to enjoy, it makes the year go by faster. Yeah,
it really does. And just blocking those out on the calendar and planning ahead for them, it does. It creates momentum too in other parts of your business. And as I'm looking ahead, anytime I'm away, I like everything automated. So I can just be freed up. I'm not writing my newsletters. They're already done. They're already scheduled. I'm not recording another podcast. It's already done, already scheduled. Got everything ready to go. I can ask my assistant to do some things while I'm away.
Yeah, but those podcasts and those articles didn't get automatically written and recorded.
Yeah.
You had to take a little bit of extra time each week and stock them up.
Exactly. So, but it's a good motivation, and then it just completely frees you up, and then you get more ideas when you're away. I'm always writing down new ideas for topics and whatever. Yeah,
and one of the things Deb and I wanted to talk about is the importance of travel at halftime in our lives, and. A lot of us, as we move through halftime, would love to cut back a little bit. And traveling anymore, because of the internet and automation and things like that, doesn't necessarily have to mean that you stop everything. You can really get away and either you get up early and knock a few things out for an hour or two, or that late in the afternoon after you've had a full day and you're not quite ready for dinner, you can knock a few things out, and you can get a lot done while traveling.
Yeah,
and
you can. Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely.
So we would just encourage you to not let work keep you from traveling. If you can figure out a way to start rearranging your life so that your work works around your life instead of you working around work.
Yeah.
I think you'll find travel really rewarding, and a good motivation to stay engaged.
Right. Yeah. I just, to be able to do those little extra things. I don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish I would have.
Right.
At a certain point, like when your parents got to a certain point, they couldn't travel anymore.
Right.
Your mom had neuropathy and diabetes.
For your folks.
Yeah, my mom had, she wasn't able to travel for quite a. My dad had this big motorhome, and he loved that. But it, came to a point.
They finally got to the place they couldn't do it.
Just couldn't do it. My mom,
which is part of why we're doing this bike trip. We're both still active. We're both still upright, and
hopefully for a while.
We knock it out while we can do it.
Yeah, and I plan on keeping up with the boys. So I'm,
See, that gives me more goals, because I got to keep up with my wife.
Yeah,
now.
you got to keep up with me. I thought it was interesting in reading a little bit of this, about John Locke and some of this history, because there are a lot of even homeschoolers that choose to homeschool so they can travel with their kids and be flexible and equate give their kids, a more of a world view, which was great. And even clear back, there was the 7 wonders of the ancient world in the 3rd century BC. I mean, they had wonders of the world. 7
Yeah, actually, so a guy named Philo of Byzantine wrote or chronicled the 7 wonders of the ancient world in the 3rd century BC. And, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon was one of the 7 wonders. And those are probably created in the 5th century BC.
Wow.
But it's just fascinating to think that people have been chronic. And one of the things that happens when you chronicle trips like this, and I think the reason that he did this is it tells people who haven't been there that the world's way bigger than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And sometimes one of our worst pieces of head trash is to feel stuck.
Yes.
And traveling just blows the lid off the thought that something's impossible, because you see how other people figure out how to have joy no matter what their circumstances. Right. Or you figure out how people were able to create things, without, all of the modern locomotion.
Yeah.
And you go, with a can-do attitude, there's probably a lot I can get done. And travel just, it does that.
Yeah.
And a guy writing in the 3rd century BC got that.
Yeah.
He understood how important it was to open people's eyes.
And I've been to Europe, I don't know how many times now, and even in ancient areas, going to Israel and going to some of those, and seeing their irrigation systems and all of how did they do that? And looking at, the Great Pyramids, and I've not actually been able to be at the Great Pyramids, but how did they do all of that? But they figured out a way, and you really see it opens up your mind as when you're feeling like your life is impossible. You're going, well, they figured it out. How did they do it? They didn't have cranes. They didn't have they had manpower, and they had pulleys, and they would just figure out their little simple engineering system. So it really does open up your minds even to the possibilities in your business, and feeling like I just need to think a little bit more creatively and how to get through this. There is a way. So that's well, is there anything else to add here?
When you brought up homeschoolers, I was just thinking, homeschoolers, travel's essential.
Yes.
An easy one would be all the national parks.
Oh, yes.
And, getting those in and just experiencing how amazing our country is.
Yeah.
If you need something beyond that, there's a book out called Journeys of a Lifetime, 500 of the World's Greatest Trips. Wow. And I think you can even Google that and bring it up online. But that 500 ideas should keep you busy for a while.
Very, very busy. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, when we were, where were we when we got the national parks color books? We got them for our granddaughters. It was really fun. I wanted to keep one.
Yeah, and something you can do, like if you're in a national park, get a really good camera and go camera hunting.
Yeah.
And as you take pictures of different birds and animals, look them up and figure out, what they are, and add to your child's growing up.
Yeah.
And get them outside walking.
Yes, being outside. Yeah, we get in our own little cement worlds, and
Right.
that's where we are. So, wow. Well, this has been great. We are going to do more of these just because we are doing some more travel. We are at halftime, and we're taking advantage of this time in our life. And of course, we still work with budgets. We are not, it's not like all of a sudden, if you have money, you can travel. No, we have edged this in from when we took the boys. We would go on ski vacations, and of course snowboarding when they ended up doing that. We would do something. We constantly did this. We did a lot of camping, and our famous tent camping. We have some really funny stories about that. But yeah, but we get away, and how important it is to be away. And the boys have great memories. In fact, one of our sons loves to camp now, which is funny.
That's right, and he's taking his family camping all the time.
Yes, and they actually have a trailer.
It's fun to have created good memories in their lives.
Good memories in their lives. So, well, anything else?
No, that probably doesn't.
This was so great. What a fun little episode. It went by so fast. And I hope you join us next week as well, where we were covering the 5 key questions to ask at halftime. And of course, there are other questions you may be asking, but part of my emphasis is to encourage you and inspire you. And these are 5 of those questions that we will cover next week that I hope they'll do that for you. If you have others that you feel would enjoy this, please tell them to listen, and please subscribe. I will look forward to being back with you again next week. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.